Okay, today we are going to take a look at how we are going to be able to solve multi-step equations. I want to do one example of this PowerPoint, but I will be available to help you step by step on a couple from the assignment if need be. Remember, we also want to undo the order of operations. And so I actually want to start by undoing any adding or subtracting. Notice that all that's going to happen on the left-hand side, since adding 13 is the opposite of subtracting 13, that cancels out. Everything else, however, remains the same on the left-hand side. Right? That does not change. Now, while I'm still looking for the adding or subtracting, I cannot do the opposite of adding 5 because that is inside parentheses, and I have to save that for last. So instead, I look for any multiplying or dividing and go, aha, I can undo multiplying of 12 by dividing by 12. Notice the x plus 5 is still on the left-hand side. 36 divided by 12 is 3. Also notice, as much as possible, I try to keep my equal sign falling straight down the page. And as much as possible, I try to keep my variable x falling straight down the page. Since everything outside of the parentheses has been taken care of, I can now do the opposite of adding 5, which is subtracting 5. And I get a final answer of -2. And again, I'm not as interested in the answer today as I am showing that step-by-step work to communicate the thought process. I need to be able to see what you are thinking. So it's going to be time to work on our work, Sean. Work, Sean. Oh, it's Sean the sheep. Sean, what are you doing here? It's a work sheep. No, it's not a work sheep. Sean, I don't know if we really have time for this. There we go, the worksheet. Okay. So Sean the sheep is introducing the fact that we have a worksheet to work on. Now again, if need be, hit pause or even hit stop. But in a moment, I'm going to start working through a couple of these. All right, I'm going to work through number 1. And if you want to try to do that on your own first, you can just stop this. If you want to follow along with me, though, make sure you've got supplies with. And I will try to show exactly step by step what it would be nice if you had on your paper. All right, so if I'm looking at number 1, I'm like, hey, I want to undo any adding or subtracting. So I'm thinking the opposite of subtracting 7 is going to be adding 7. I have to do that on both sides of the equation. Right? The equal sign is kind of like my balancing point. 23 plus 7 is 30. The subtract 7 and the add 7 cancel each other out. Leaves me 3 times the quantity x plus 8. Now I want to undo any multiplying or dividing. I see that I am multiplying by the number 3. Opposite of multiplying by 3 is dividing by 3. Remember that for algebra, division looks like a fraction. Try to bring my equal sign straight down. 30 divided by 3 is 10. On the left-hand side, the multiplying by 3 and dividing by 3 are opposites. Leaves me x plus 8. Finally, the opposite of adding 8 is subtracting 8. So I can subtract 8 from each side, and I come up with x equals 2. And again, I try to keep my equal sign going straight down the page as much as I can. And I also try to keep my variable x as much as I can falling straight down the page. And that is what number 1 should look like. Good step-by-step work. with a solution of 2. Now, I'm going to move on to number 3, because number 3 is a little bit different. Notice on question 1, there was only one x in the equation, and so I could just undo the order of operations. But when I get to number 3, I notice that I've got an x in more than one location. I'm like, So this is a situation where I want to combine like terms, right? If I want to undo the order of operations, I only want to see one x in the equation. So I need to combine like terms. So I'm thinking, hey, if I've got 2x plus 4x, that's actually 6x. Right, so I'm just going to rewrite this. 2x plus 4x is 6x. I still have the plus 11. I still have the equal sign. I still have the 8. Now, is there any adding or subtracting to undo? Well, sure. Opposite of adding 11 will be subtracting 11. I can bring down my 6x, bring down my equal sign. 8 subtract 11 is negative 3. Notice the positive 11 and the negative 11 canceled out. Now I can look for any multiplying or dividing to undo, and so I'll say, hey, I will divide by 6. My answer will be negative. And 3 over 6 becomes 1/2. If you're wondering why does it become 1/2, well, 3 is 1 times 3. 6 is 2 times 3. I've got a common factor of 3 that I can cancel out. Hopefully that gets you off to a good start. There's a total of 12 questions on the worksheet. Again, please take your time. You want to show step-by-step work. You want someone else that looks over your work to be able to see your thought process, so you can start working at your own pace.